And Mr. Mayor, we are live.
All right, thank you. Hello, today is the 8th day of February in the year 2021. I am Mayor Densmore, and this is a meeting of the Gulf Manor Village Council. We're meeting remotely by the authority granted us by the Ohio Legislature, given concerns about the COVID-19 pandemic. If you will stand as you are able and join me in getting our meeting started in our usual way with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, let's start with a roll call to establish for the record that we have a quorum to proceed. Mr. Lanzer, would you do the honors?
Yep, Mr. Betcher,
Here.
Ms. Chaney,
Here.
Mr. Knitt, Mr. Knitt, Mr. Pridnoff,
Here.
Ms. Snyder,
Here.
Mr. Van Horn. I believe I saw present there. Everyone, Roger.
Present, sorry.
There we go.
And I just got off the phone with Mr. Knipp, so he should be here any minute.
Okay.
Very good. Do we have a motion to excuse Mr. Knipp for the brief period?
Actually, he's coming in now.
All right, great. All right. Presuming council has had an opportunity to review tonight's agenda, do we have a motion to accept or amend and accept tonight's agenda?
Motion to approve.
Dad, it's ready.
Second.
All right, all those in favor? Without objection, I'll take that as unanimous. Mr. Lanzer, are there any registered persons to address council this evening?
There's not.
All right. Okay, then presuming council has had an opportunity to review the prepared minutes for our previous council meeting, do we have a motion to accept or amend and accept the, what are they, the January 25th? No, I'm sorry. Yeah, the January
11th and 25th.
January 11th and 25th, 2011 minutes.
Does that have to be two separate approvals, or can they be done together?
They can-
Join them together. Okay, so motion to accept the January 11th and January 25th, 2021 minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All right, all those in favor? Okay, very good. Without objection, I'll take that as unanimous consent and ask our district fire chief, Chief Timmers, for.
Okay, Mayor, thank you very much. Just to update you on the fire department and the vaccines. We had 19 people get their vaccines. They've gotten both of them now. So just a fair warning to you people that haven't had them yet. The second dose is a killer. We had quite a few people, including myself, that it felt like I had a real bad case of the flu, but I was down for about 12 hours. So it you just feel very tired. So just prepare yourself. And then you have a copy of the run totals for January. If there's any questions on those, please let me know.
I do. Chief, I don't have that in front of me. Can you review that for us?
Okay.
And I'm particularly interested, I think I'd mentioned before, in the breakdown. I think that's the entirety of the report in terms of what kind of runs that we have going on in
Yes.
Gulf Center.
Yes. Okay. So for the fire details, we had between Gulf Manor and part of the Columbia Township, we had 13. We had 3 of them in Columbia Township and 10 of them in the village of Gulf Manor. For the EMS details, we had a total of 83. 31 of those were in Columbia Township, and 52 was in Gulf Manor. Oh, there you go.
Perfect.
Ron just put that on there. Thanks, Ron. I don't know if council knows or not. I'm made aware of this also, that Quality Inn has set aside, I believe, 52 rooms for the homeless. So if you look on your report on the sick person, where we have like 17 runs, I believe we made between 12 and 13 runs to Quality Inn in the month of January. So just be aware that, when you see that number for that, and what was the other one? The EMS lift assist. We've been going to Quality Inn quite a bit. So,
Okay.
So if there's any other questions on the runs, let me know.
Do you happen to know who's the authority behind the supporting those homes? Or
Talbot House. Mayor.
Talbot House? Okay.
Yes, sir. Yeah,
Thank you.
no problem.
All right. Any other questions from council? Chief Timmers, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Okay. And so we'll move on without objection to my mayor's report. A couple of things. First, this is Black History Month, which is officially recognized by the United States, Canada, the UK, Ireland, and the Netherlands. Black History Month originated in the US, where it's also known as African American History Month. The precursor to Black History Month was Black History Week, which was first celebrated in 1926 as an educational endeavor of American scholar Dr. Carter Woodson. The specific calendar week was chosen because it coincided with the birth dates of both Abraham Lincoln, which is February 12th, and Frederick Douglass, February 14th. Actually, Frederick Douglass, being a slave, didn't know what his birth date was. There weren't records that were kept on that were able to be found, but his mom always called him his little Valentine, so he picked February 14th. These gentlemen's birth dates have been celebrated together by the American Black community since the late 19th century in recognition of the significant impact these two individuals had on Black American life. Dr. Woodson pushed to bring Black history into public consciousness, noticing that the role of African Americans in American history was either misrepresented or missing altogether from the history books of his time. Black history was largely ignored by historians and the general public until the 20th century. Dr. Woodson is attributed as a significant force in changing all that through the coordination of teaching the history of Black Americans in the nation's public schools. Much of the history of Black people wasn't known by Blacks or whites until Black history was taught in school. The research and dissemination of Black history has countered myths that slaves were well treated under slavery or that Blacks had been better off under slavery. It also, by lifting examples of extraordinary individuals, provided examples of Americans for children to look up to, emulate, and have pride in. Black History Week grew in popularity over the following decades, with mayors across the United States endorsing it as a holiday. Black History Month was first proposed by Black history educators at our very own Kent State University here in Ohio, and officially became recognized by President Ford during the celebration of the United States bicentennial in 1976. While Black History Month has helped the growing cultural identity among the Black community, its significance to all Americans cannot be overstated. We cannot make America great in blindness to one another or in blindness about things like our history and without examples of greatness of all of our people. All these things are part of the shared history of the United States. I've included a couple resource links for anyone wishing to learn more about Black history. One is resources from the Center for Racial Justice in Education. One is resources from the Library of Congress. One is resources from the African American History Month government website. And the final one I have is resources from the National Education Association. If anyone knows of other resources, let me know and I'll add them to the list in my report. I have a couple COVID updates in bulletins as well. First, curfew change. Since my previous report, the hours of the statewide curfew have been changed from 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. The change was based on improvements the governor has seen indicating a reduction in the spread of virus in Ohio in recent weeks. The curfew will be evaluated again this week to see to what extent it should be adjusted again based on the current patterns of improvement of Ohioans' adoption of safety protocols. Two, the CDC has finally aligned itself with the safety measures I declared for Gulf Manor back in July of last year. As of February 1st, they're mandating that transit locations such as bus stops require the wearing of masks. With the CDC order, masks covering both the mouth and nose are now required on all public transportation, including airplanes, buses, ferries, trains, taxis, rideshare, as well as transit locations, not just bus stops, but train stations and airports. Three, I don't know how many of you are aware of this. Folks who have been receiving pandemic unemployment benefits are very aware of this, that we went through a period of being, the benefits went through a period of being shut down in Ohio through late December and all of January, despite the December 2020 federal aid package and executive orders meant to reinstate those benefits. Ohio's been working on fixing the problems related to this delayed rollout of the benefits, and 155,000 Ohioans saw a portion of those past months of missing benefits deposited into their bank accounts this past weekend. This was great news for many of our residents. The governor's office promises that all the remaining Ohioans who are eligible that have seen this delay in benefits will receive their back owed benefits by the end of this month. It does require that Ohio residents log in to the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance website and basically request the benefits that they have previously requested that they have not received. Number four, the priority eligibility for vaccine. School personnel are now eligible if their school will be open for classroom and hybrid learning by March 1st. This week, folks 65 years and older are also eligible to start getting the vaccine. And there's been a number of announcements about the availability of the various vaccines over the course of the next couple weeks. They believe the Pfizer one will double the amount that we're getting, and Moderna 105,000 doses per week. And Janssen, if approved, should begin distribution in March. Just basically saying that the problems that we've had with people who are eligible under priority that have been having to wait, they're hoping in the next couple months that that's going to be addressed significantly. In my report, as always, I have lists or links to where the closest locations are for getting the vaccine if you're in the eligible, if you're in one of those eligible populations, as well as other information about the vaccine distribution. And that is it for my report. If there are any questions, I will take them. If not, we'll move on to the next item, which is Mr. Hurth's report, the village administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We are looking forward to the end of the governor's curfew because I believe at that point in time, things will start to loosen up and we can start within parameters of safety, start opening things back up to the world. So we have continued, particularly under the governor's curfew order, to continue to limit our contact with in-person meetings, and we're still doing everything by Zoom at this point. Quick update on the Vera Road project. I had reported at the last council meeting that starting on January 27th, the bid process would start for the completed engineering projects at the Vera Service Drive, Short Elbrook, and Vera itself. That process ends at 10 a.m. this coming Thursday, February 11th. Generally, how that ends is there's a bit of ceremony that goes with it. Usually, the contractors will appear in person at the time that the bids are to be turned in. They usually will sit down in our chambers, and the road engineer and someone from my staff will sit down and announce those bids individually so all of the different companies can hear what was turned in. This year, we're actually doing that online. We'll have somebody at the door to accept the bids. They will not be able to come in and see the meeting live. However, if you look at our website, there is a link for a special public meeting. There's no public participation in this process. It'll simply be, you can watch it through the YouTube link on our website. So that'll be kind of a new thing. The engineer was surprised that we could do that, and it'll be interesting to see us make that happen. Regarding technology, some of you may be frustrated in that you found today that your email is not working. We had a huge upgrade moving from one email system to a new one today. Actually, that took place over the weekend. Today, when everything was migrated, we're running into problems as were expected, except looks like we had more problems than we anticipated. What I would suggest is if you use email on your desktop through Outlook, or if you have it on your personal device, your iPhone or your Android, and you're not able to log back in, if you would write down this address, and actually what I'll do is email it to you. That's probably the better thing to do. It's support@golfmanorOH.gov. That is Brett Palmer, our IT person. He'll be glad to walk you through what you need to do to get you back up and running. The good thing is those of you who use webmail, which is our internet-based web service, and you've had issues with attaching emails or reading emails, that will be resolved once this is all implemented. You'll be able to attach again. Although the best way to do your village email is actually through Outlook on a desktop. The other thing I want to make you aware of is that the phone system has also been upgraded. One of the things that we would like you to do is to make sure that you check your village voicemail to ensure that you are receiving email messages when a voicemail message is left for you. You can simply dial into your extension, leave yourself a message, and you should see that pop up in email to ensure that you're getting those. If you're not getting those, let me know. I know the mayor had an issue with that earlier in the week, and that's another one of those things where we're taking care of bugs in this new conversion. The other thing that I noted is I believe Mr. Knipp and Ms. Snyder are the only two that have not recorded messages for your voicemail. I have put a message out there for you, but if you wish to change that, you have the ability to do that. If you don't have your login information, touch base with me and I can get you in touch with that info. Tax season. What would February be without taxes and income tax returns? It's in full swing. The IRS I'm told, is going to start processing 2020 tax returns soon. RETA currently, the Regional Income Tax Authority that does Gulf Manor taxes, is currently accepting returns now. So there is a link on our website to do your taxes online. You can do them online or by mail, or if you wish, you can collect your documentation, send that information directly to RETA, and they will fill your taxes out for you. And that service is available to all of our residents. The village no longer does that type of work. So any questions or any support that our residents need regarding taxes, they need to go directly to RETA. They have a great customer service center that's very helpful, And we've gotten some good feedback on things that they've helped our residents with. Tax day this year is Thursday, April 15th, and that is also the day that village taxes are due. So mark that down. I think I'm a week away from having mine filed. The village website has been updated, and I'm going to share the screen here. Let's see if this works well. There we go. So a couple things I wanted to point out for you. As things come to us that are helpful for the residents, the section where you see the images sliding, that's called the master slider. And generally, this will be stuff that's currently happening. So the most important thing that we're doing this evening is our special council meeting. This has a link to the packet and to the meetings. In addition to that, we have information here on the 2020 tax filing. Clicking on this takes you to the RETA site. We have information out here regarding the curfew changes that have taken place. So this gets updated as things change with the state. This is a particularly helpful link because this will take you directly to the Hamilton County site where you can schedule your vaccine test. And we are keeping this updated as things evolve with the county. This will probably get moved up front since we're expecting a weather event this evening. This will replace the special council meeting banner. What we've started doing, and I don't know if you've noticed this, but I started this back on January 20th. The federal government is listing the number of people who have perished due to COVID. And I thought this was a good thing that we remember those folks. And I'm updating this on a weekly basis with the numbers. That's just a nice, friendly neighborhood deer. And then
Know
we're
that
also,
deer.
say that again.
I know that deer.
Do you really?
He likes my hostas.
There you go. We're also keeping information about what people should be doing with masks and so forth. And then finally, when you see these are direct links to the various meetings that we're holding in the village. So this actual link is given to the various folks who are submitting bids. So my whole point in mentioning this is that the website is dynamically updated to serve our residents on a daily basis. So if you get questions about taxes or various things, it's a good idea to go ahead and go to the website and see what's new out there or refer people directly to it. One thing I wanted to point out to you is this particular slide. This is a piece of artwork that was done by Gemma Snyder. I thought this was cool because at the time I had a cardinal with the Golf Manor logo out on the website, and I actually saw this. I think I saw this on Facebook, and I talked to Ashley about it. And one of the things that we might do, and I'm certainly asking for council's help with this, or if we want to take this to a committee, but I called this page the Village of Golf Manor, the Gallery. It celebrates the creativity and talent that lives in the village. And I would see us featuring something on a monthly basis, either from kids or if we have adults who are doing creative things in art or crafts or those kinds of things. We simply need to figure out how we would manage something like this. But this might be a really fun driver to the website and also be something fun where we can start doing some recognition with our residents. So this has been out here. I put it back up today because I wanted to talk to council about this tonight, but let's put some thought, if we could, around this. And I'm going to ask Ms. Snyder if she would be willing to drive the discussion around how we might use this to our benefit, possibly to help drive some traffic to our website and also give some recognition out there. And this would be an example of what we do for the holidays. So this is our slide for President's Day, which we'll launch later this week. And then, of course, there's Valentine's Day. So lots of things happening with the website. This particular slide, when you click on that, it takes you to the no-cost testing, which there are still mass group testings going on. I think over the next couple of weeks, Crossroads at Oakley is still doing their tent testing out in the parking lot. So if something happens that you need to get a free COVID test, keep in mind that that's happening on a regular basis. So that completes my report. Are there any questions on what I've covered?
Just a comment, Mr. Hirth, you said that if we were having access to our email problems, you would be emailing out the address. We
Yes.
would not be able to receive that email.
Oh.
So maybe just for those who didn't get that email address, to say it again for those who might be in need.
So why don't I do this? I will text everybody. How about that? Because I have all your texts. Does that work? And I think, Miss Cheney, you're good now. Is that right?
Yes.
I think that was a yes. Okay.
Yeah.
And I know we're in the middle of working on Ashley, so I'll get everybody else the link here shortly. There's also a document that we're going to talk about in executive session. I'm going to send that to everybody here in just a moment too. So the mayor already has the document. Everybody else, if you're at your email, feel free to bring it up. And it's not vital that you look at it while we have our executive session, but just wanted to make you aware of that.
Question,
That's
Mr.
it.
Hirth. Question,
Go
Mr.
ahead.
Hirth. We send this email out. Do we expect a phone call? Do we have to give them our phone number? Or how does that work?
However, Brett can best get a hold of you.
Okay. Because my Outlook is down completely. I can't get any email from anybody. So I didn't know how he responded. So thank you.
So just text him, to send him an email with your contact information, how you prefer to be contacted.
Very good.
Anything else?
Related to this, I wanted to ask council members to check your voicemails and review them under the new system. One of the things that I discovered with the new system was that as I had been relying on getting an email whenever I had a voicemail, what I discovered is that sometime during the summer, there was another switchover in services and a whole batch of emails that did not, or excuse me, a whole batch of voicemails that did not get emailed to me and that I ended up missing because I don't physically check my voicemail. I just check my email and get my voicemails that way. And in listening to those messages, there were several that were quite painful that I had missed and will require quite a bit of amends to fix. And just wanted to give everyone on council a heads up to physically check your voicemail by calling in to make sure that that hasn't happened to you. It happened to Ron, it happened to Anna, it happened to another people earlier in the summer, and I just discovered that it also had happened to me. So heads up to check that to ensure that you've actually received all the voicemails that have been sent to you. And if there are no other questions, then I would ask for the report from our fiscal officer, Mr. Lanzer.
Yeah, the only item I have this evening is to provide an update. I want to let you all know that I'm working through the end of the year reporting that's required for the state auditor. I hope to have it all completed by the end of this week, and we'll have a full end of the year report as well as a January 2021 financial packet for review for the next finance meeting in 2 weeks, and a report.
Thank you, Mr. Lanzer. Any questions? All right. Chief Campbell.
Hi, good
You have a
evening.
report.
Yes.
Thank you.
First, I have the mayor's court report for the month of January 2021. Total to the village was $1,719. Total to the state, $337.50. There's $13.50 in the other category, bringing us to a total of $2,070. Copy of this is in the council packet, and that is the end of the mayor's court report.
Do we have a motion to accept the mayor's court report?
I'll make a motion.
Or a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Without objection, I'll take that as unanimous. Thank you, Chief. Do you have an activity report?
Yeah, I have a few other items. One, I wanted to report that the police department received final certification for the Ohio Collaborative. I discussed that at the last meeting. We had our conditional pending then. With the most recent executive order, all of our policies are current and up to date to comply with that order through the collaborative. So that's a good thing. I just wanted council to be aware of that. Also, I wanted council, I shared with Mr. Hurd some correspondence that came in to Denise. She's very helpful. It was good to get a thank you letter because when people ask for things, she goes out of her way to help the public and also internal personnel. So I shared that with you as well. And lastly, the communication center has set up their detail rate. It did go through for $5 per run that we're dispatched on. It's been as high as $19 per run before, so this is a really good savings for us. They also changed the structure so that it's done mid-year in July to allow agencies to plan ahead when budgeting for the following year. They estimate average numbers of runs into how you're billed. So that is also a good thing that will help our budget. And with that being said, I think that's all I have.
And Chief, I have that thank you letter up on the screen for everybody.
I can't make out who that's from. Can somebody read that for me?
I can't either. It's a very fancy signature.
I think it's Ethan.
I thought it was, maybe you're right. Maybe you're.
What about the text at the bottom? That's what I was referring to. Was that part of it? Is it a?
Looks like an address in North Carolina.
Was that it? Was it just an address or was it? Yeah, it's just an address. I thought maybe it had the name in that.
Well, that was fun.
Very nice. All right, thank you, Chief Campbell. Mr. Lanzer, can we do a second call for quorum as we move forward?
Yes. Mr. Badger,
Here.
Ms. Cheney,
Here.
Mr. Knapp.
Here.
Mr. Pridnoff.
Here.
Ms. Snyder
Here.
and Mr. Van Horn.
Here.
All members present.
Thank you. And with that, I'll ask for our solicitor's report from Mr. Donnellan.
Thank you. We have no legislation on the agenda this evening, and I'll reserve the remainder of my comments for executive session. We're going to ask for a motion to adjourn to executive session at the end of the meeting for matters of personnel regarding compensation, discipline, and appointment. And I'll reserve those comments, and we hope to keep it short and simple for you. Even though nobody's driving anywhere, we want everybody to be comfortable before the snow hits at 8.
Thank you, Mr. Donnellan. Anything else? All right. Ms. Snyder, a report for the executive committee?
Yes. Executive committee spent most of its time discussing parking issues in the village, and the committee will continue to review the parking ordinances. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you. Ms. Cheney, do we have an education report?
No, just that LSDMC is going to be meeting this Wednesday, and I'll have something from Nativity next time.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Cheney. Mr. Friedenoff, nonprofit report.
Nothing for a nonprofit.
Thank you. Is there a fire district board report, Mr. Lanzer or Mr. Van Harn?
The only update I have is the board meeting will be virtual Wednesday, February 17th at 6 p.m.
Thank you. Mr. Betcher, Planning Commission.
Yes, Planning Commission met on Monday evening, last Monday evening. The first, for two separate issues. The first is the new owner of the 2700 Lasanaville building, Tiffany's Salon. She is starting construction to make some improvements to make that building more feasible for her space. So I think I've seen some work being done already. There was a trailer there, so they're making quick work of that building, and we'll have a, I think, 5-booth hair salon with a couple spaces for other services in there. So we welcome them to the village. There wasn't a variance or anything like that, but just more of an approval and just letting us know what they were going to be doing. The other issue that we discussed was continued conversation about the little free libraries and little community libraries. We did make a recommendation to council to have I think a town hall or and a public hearing, and then to review the legislation to update the zoning ordinance or zoning code for accessory structures for those to make them be available within the village. And I'll let Mr. Donellan chime in on that part.
Yeah, we're at the next stage in that zoning code amendment. It comes to village council for the ordinance. We got good feedback from planning commission, so we'll be drafting that ordinance. Council does need to set a public hearing by our code under chapter 1143 to hear any comments relative to the recommendation before taking legislative action. We have to post notice of that meeting or hearing 30 days in advance in the Cincinnati Enquirer. So we're targeting it for March 22, and we'd ask for a motion from council tonight to set that public hearing prior to the 7 o'clock meeting or at the beginning of 7 o'clock meeting, whatever your preference may be. When it went through planning commission, probably we discussed it, reviewed it for about 30 minutes. So if council wanted to set it at 6:30 that evening, we could begin the public hearing at 6:30 and go right into council at 7 on March 22. And then we'll post it in the Enquirer with just a brief summary of what we will be considering.
I move that we set a public hearing for the community libraries on March 22nd
I'll second.
At 6:30?
at 6:30.
So all those in favor?
Aye.
That looks unanimous without objection. All right. Awesome.
So Mr. Lanzer and Mr. Hirth will need to have a quick finance committee meeting that evening.
Okay.
We should be good.
Is that end of your report, Mr. Betcher?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Okay. And engagement, Mr. Knapp.
No report.
All right. Finance, Mr. Betcher.
No report.
All right. Then I have a couple announcements. Next council meeting is scheduled for Monday, February 22nd, 7 p.m. Next finance committee meeting scheduled for Monday, February 22nd, 6 p.m. Next executive committee meeting scheduled for Monday, March 8th, 6 p.m. And let's see, future dates of council, Monday, March 8th, 7 p.m. and Monday, March 22nd, 7 p.m. And with that, I will ask for a motion for us to move to executive session for a matter of personnel and compensation and discipline.
Make
So
a motion to go to executive session for matters of personnel compensation and discipline.
Second.
All right. Do we need to do a roll call for that?
Yes.
Mr. Lanzer, would you help us?
Mr. Betcher,
Yes.
Ms. Cheney,
Yes.
Mr. Knitt,
Yes.
Mr. Brittenhoff,
Yes.
Ms. Snyder,
Yes.
Mr. Van Horn.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to take us over to a breakout room. We'll see you over there.